In this special spoiler-free double feature bonus episode, we're going to find out if this was the way. And we're going to go looking for who God is, because I'm going to give you my impressions on The Mandalorian and Grogu and Is God Is.
Back Look Cinema, the podcast.
My name is Zoe. It's spelled Z-O or Z to the O for those of you outside of the U.S. Welcome back, friends. This is a bonus episode, number 36, of Back Look Cinema, the podcast. We usually take a look back at the movies of yesteryear, especially the movies of the latter half of the last millennium. Except today, we're going to talk about new movies. If you like what you're about to hear, then please tell your family, tell your friends, and tell your neighbors about Back Look Cinema. I had a unique opportunity to see a couple of films this past week, and I was strongly motivated to see both of these films. And I considered posting 2 episodes, but instead I just combined them into one, which is strange because they are in no way whatsoever related. They're not the same genre. They don't ask for the same audiences. They don't have the same style. They don't have the same aesthetic. These are 2 completely different movies. I guess the only similarities in these movies is that there is some violence and people die. That's it. That's the only thing that these movies share. So let's talk about the first movie. If you don't want to hear about my spoiler-free review of The Mandalorian and Grogu, just skip on down to the next chapter where I talk about Is God Is, and you should be able to see it in the show notes where you can just click on it and get directly to the next impression or the next review. But right now, I want to talk about The Mandalorian and Grogu. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a Mandalorian bounty hunter named Din Djarin and his ward, a mysterious alien toddler named Grogu, searched the galaxy for high-ranking generals of the remnants of the Galactic Empire in order to bring them to justice for the New Republic. The Mandalorian and Grogu was starring, in part, Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, also known as Din Djarin. Sigourney Weaver played Colonel Ward. Jeremy Allen White plays Rada the Hutt, and Johnny Cohn played Lord Janu. It was directed by Jon Favreau. These are all fantastic names attached to this project. Well, I'm not sure about Jeremy Allen White or Johnny Cohn. They did a Coyne. It's either Johnny Coyne or it might be Johnny Coyne. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, they all did a fantastic job on this movie. There are a lot of other actors that are attached to it. There was a surprise actor that I didn't realize. Actually, is a guy that's going to be in the movie. It's a name that you will recognize. And I did not know that he would be cast in this movie. It does not seem to be his type of film. I have heard him criticize films that are like this, so I'm surprised that he's in the film. You'll see him. You'll see his name in the credits, and so of course you have Pedro Pascal, who seems to be in everything, and Sigourney Weaver is in a Star Wars movie, so that's exciting. And then it's directed by Jon Favreau, who's been within Star Wars for quite some time. And what's awesome about Jon Favreau, one of the reasons I was excited about this movie, is that he is a very competent director. He's really good. He's had some really good movies. So some of the movies he's put out are The Jungle Book, Chef, Cowboys and Aliens, Iron Man, and Elf. And it was also written by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Noah Clore. Now, I'm not exactly sure about Noah Clore, but as I mentioned earlier, along with Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni has been with Star Wars for a very long time. And they have really been instrumental in creating and guiding the lore of Star Wars for, I guess, the past 10 years, or probably even longer than that, since the end of the prequel series for sure. So they've got a handle on it. And I've seen great things come out of this. And I've seen some great hits and I've seen some great misses. Now, as far as my impressions go, as I said, I was really excited about it. But I have to say that with these names attached to it, I expected a much better movie. Somebody I saw online before I saw the movie described it as it's like a side quest in a video game. And it does seem like that. It exactly seems like that. And more to the point, another person had said, it's like 3-episode and a 5-episode story arc from a TV series. And yes, it seems like that. This definitely seemed like I was watching the show, but it was missing some essential parts. For me, it felt like it was missing like the beginning and one of the middle episodes. Like it needed a middle episode in there. And it felt like it had no real story. And that's why the movie is getting these comments like this, because it's just the Mandalorian and Grogu, and they go on a number of fetch quests, go here and capture this person. And then you're kind of tripped up during the quest and you have to deal with this other person. And then you go on and you deal with this third person. But there's no real story. There's no real character development, and you got to have one or the other. Like if you can have a movie that doesn't have a real narrative, as long as you do some heavy character development, that's what you need. And this movie had neither. And I was really hoping that it would open up a new world for the characters that we know. I was really hoping that we would get some more insight or some new lore about Din Djarin. And that was another thing. Like throughout the entire movie, they never actually say his name. They just call him the Mandalorian. And I kind of wish that we got something more out of it. Like it seems like they just took some discarded scripts that they hadn't used for the TV show and cobbled together this movie. We don't see anything that's really explores their characters. We don't see anything that really explores Grogu. They both kind of do the same things that they had been doing in the TV show. They just look really good doing it. And that's why I can't throw a bunch of hate at this film, because I'm a story guy. I really do appreciate a story. And I am recognizing that this movie is lacking in story. However, that being said, the action in this movie is fantastic. The special effects is outstanding. It's like, it just looks really good. And they had a lot of funny moments. They had a lot of funny interactions between Grogu and different characters. That includes, the Mandalorian, as mentioned earlier, and then some of the other characters that he runs along with. The action is top notch. And so that's good. I just wish that all of these things were placed into a story. You hear a lot of people that can mention their favorite parts of the movie, and that's fantastic. But putting this movie into a story, I think it's so important to have this in a narrative that we can appreciate. And unfortunately, this one doesn't have like a story that it doesn't have elements. It has elements of a story. Let's put it that way. It has elements of a story, but I feel like it's missing the part where you start off in one place and end up in another place. And we don't see that. We don't see a journey. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Anything more would kind of like spoil the movie in case you really want to watch. I just want to prepare you. There's going to be a lot of substance, but not a lot of depth in The Mandalorian and Grogu. IMDb has it at 7.0 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes has it. The critics have it at 61%. The audience score is 89%. Let me know what your thoughts were on The Mandalorian and Grogu. Did you absolutely love it? You think I'm off base? You think I'm a hater? I can take it. I'm a grown man. Let me know in the comments if you're listening to this on YouTube or you can send me an email. I'll leave the information later. And now is the time that we transition to Is God Is. Two young women, both disfigured by fire, go on a quest demanded by their mother to kill the man who burned them all, their mother's ex-husband and their father. As with all journeys, it's not the destination, but what they learn along the way. Is God Is starred Cara Young as Racine, the rough one, Valerie Johnson as Anaya, the quiet one, Vivica A. Fox as Ruby, Sterling K. Brown as Man. At least that's how he's credited on IMDb, as simply Man. Also known as The Monster. Janelle Monáe as Angie, the new wife. Mykelti Williamson as Chuck Hall, the lawyer. Erica Alexander as Divine, the healer. Is God Is was written and directed by Alicia Harris, and it's based on her award-winning play. This is her theatrical debut as a director, and from what I saw in this movie, I can tell you that this will not be her last movie. At least, I don't think it will be. This was a fine directorial debut. Moving on with some of my other impressions, I want to start off with some of the online discourse that I kind of ran into. I don't know how I ran into this discourse, but it was kind of strange. So, and maybe it's not the sentiment of a whole bunch of people, but there were definitely some people that were saying stuff like they didn't like that there was a father figure who was the main villain of the movie. Now, apparently, for the people who wrote this, it's like Hollywood is all too often depicting a black father as a villain or a bad guy or a very evil person. And that is a very strange comment because it's not like we're living in the 50s and 60s anymore. I feel like there were a lot of not very developed black characters, especially black men, that were developed for film and televisions back in iniquity, back in the old days. But in the time that we're living in now, there have been a plethora of positive depictions of black men and black fathers. I mean, I'll even say that these positive impressions started maybe as early as the 70s. And I know since I was growing up, there have been a bunch of very positive black men depicted on television. And then as you move into the movies, the trend continues. So it's been a long time since I've seen like a black father figure being portrayed as evil as this. And maybe the person who wrote this has like a freshly remembers The Color Purple. There was a remake of The Color Purple that came out maybe 5 years ago, but that was 5 years ago. I just don't see a lot of movies that have displayed or portrayed black fathers as evil or bad or unfit or anything of that nature. Maybe it's the movies I watch. I just don't. And it's like, especially when you see the number of prominent black directors, for example, Spike Lee, Ryan Coogler, Nia DaCosta, even Tyler Perry. I think we're at a place now where we can see a full spectrum of characters that are portrayed by black people. And we don't have to play a game of respectability politics. We can explore full characterizations and really tell interesting stories about the black community. And this movie, Is God Is telling one of those stories. So one of my impressions I got, like the first impression, like watching the trailer, is that this movie was going to be similar in style that Quentin Tarantino or Robert Rodriguez used. the last movie that I saw that kind of used this style was They Will Kill You. It's similar in that this is a throwback to like this grindhouse spaghetti western style of movie making. There seems to be no consequences for the actions, no authority. People are just doing stuff. And I think like in a regular movie, one of the elements of the story is that like, if it's going to be a crime drama, then there's going to be like the authorities are going to get involved. Like there's going to be some, cops and robbers, type of dynamic in the movie. And that's absent from this movie. I'm thinking specifically of Set It Off, right? That there are women and they decide they want to go bank robbing, and, you know, in trying to rob banks, you know, they've got the coppers on their tail, and they got to find a way to try to, rob banks at the same time being chased by the cops. But you know, you don't see it here. So this story feels more like a fairy tale or a fable. And it kind of struck me as like a Greek tragedy. I kind of felt that as I was in there. It's like, cause I was wondering cause things are just happening in this movie. And as I'm watching this movie, I was like, that don't happen in real life. So it's like the people aren't behaving like you would expect them to behave. And you'll see it when you watch the movie. It's like the choices seem strange, sometimes. But as you watch the movie, that it starts to feel more and more like, a story that somebody told you, and is not supposed to be like you actually. What I mean to say is that you start to understand that this is not supposed to be representative of a story that's told in real life. It seems to have an aesthetic of a Western, and they have a lot of this type of Black American, urban Gen Z lingo. Right? Maybe not a lot of it, but there are certain, aspects of it that maybe you feel like a newly graduate from high school, that type of lingo, or maybe a new college graduate. That it kind of sticks its toe into that type of dialogue. And I see this type of dialogue online, so it's like I'm a little bit familiar with it. It's not a whole bunch. It's not something that you'll get lost when they're using this dialogue. But it stars two very young women, so, and their dialogue is on point with how old they are. And like I said, the choices that they make is wild. It's kind of like a grand adventures. The characters can be a little campy. Like it's campy in a way that, but they take themselves seriously. But at the same time, they kind of seem like cartoon characters. And they make some strange choices. Seems like everybody's making strange choices. This is a revenge fantasy. And so there's a lot of violence. And so the violence is surprisingly impactful. Like it's violence, but it's not gory. So they've achieved an incredible balance of being violent, and having you feel the impact of that violence, but it's not gory. And it's a very stylistic movie. Like it is heavy on style. Like it threatens to be style over substance, but not quite. Like it moves it up right to the edge of being, I don't want to say pointless, but right to the edge of the director, Alicia Harris, valuing the style of the movie over the story that she's trying to tell. But the story still comes through. And if you go into the movie, like I guess when I went to the movie, I was expecting a more realistic movie. I didn't realize it was going to be it feels like such a heavy fantasy element. And so I was unprepared for that. So And I'm not talking about like fantasy as in like unicorns or magic or anything like that. I'm talking fantasy as in the choices that many of the characters are making in this movie. And the fact that there doesn't seem to be any like official consequences. Like they're not running from the law. They're not running from the FBI or anything like that. There's nothing like that in this world, right? It feels like that people can just do whatever they want to in this world, and they don't have to really worry about repercussions from the state. That's what it seems like. And that's why it feels like such a fable. And that's why you get the feeling that this is kind of a Greek tragedy. It's like, when you're dealing with gods and demigods, and the gods and demigods are kind of getting into a tussle, they don't worry about an overarching authority governing their actions. They don't have to worry about being judged by a greater power. They just do what they do. And that's kind of what's happening in this film. And what's center of the film are the two main characters, the twins, the twins, Racine and Anaya, played by Cara Young and Mallory Johnson, and the chemistry that they have between them. And I think the most important aspect of the story is the relationship that they have with each other. And sometimes they are opposing each other, and sometimes it's like they are the same person. You will see why they call Racine the rough one and why they call Anaya the quiet one. They kind of tease it in the trailers, but once you get deeper into the movie, you'll see why. And I think Racine is the one that's making a lot of her decisions they feel illogical. And it seems like Mallory is the only character in the whole movie who has one toe that's in the real world. Like, it's almost like someone took the character Anaya from this world and put her in that world. It almost feels that way, because sometimes she'll see things that don't seem to make sense, but she goes along with it anyway. And I had a really fun time watching this movie amidst my confusion. Like, I was confused, but I was entertained at the same time. And I had some like profound thoughts even as I was watching the movie. So, but I really enjoyed this movie in its strangeness. It felt so different from some of the other movies that I've seen before that are similar in the tone and the aesthetic. I think what it was is that, along with the strange choices, was the stylizations about how the film was shot, how the film was cut, and how the actors were acting. The behavior of the characters was also kind of strange. And I was able to ride with it. I think I could, it was something that I could really vibe with. So this was definitely a movie that's worth noting. And this is a director, Alicia Harris, is worth watching. Is God Is on IMDb is 7.3 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes, critics have it at 98%. And audience score is 89%. So same. The Mandalorian and Grogu and Is God Is, as far as the audience is concerned, same. Finally, you can follow us on Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok, Instagram, and sometimes Twitter. Please contact us with any questions, comments, or suggestions at fanmail@backlookcinema.com. Please rate and review on your favorite podcast app. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like or subscribe and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I want to know your thoughts on The Mandalorian and Grogu and Is God Is. Did you see Is God Is? What did you think of it? Did you think it was strange? Did you think that the characters made strange choices? Did it give you the feeling that it was a Greek tragedy or fantasy? Let me know what your thoughts were. Or do I sound like I'm completely off base? One last time, if you like the show, then please help us grow by spreading the word about Backlook Cinema, the podcast. Believe me, it matters. I've been Zoe Richardson. Be safe, share a movie from your seat with your family, hug your loved ones, and if you're going to be anything, be outstanding.